Huge week in the NHL, and we might have a Stanley Cup preview. Caps, Jets, two of the best. Let's get into it. It's crazy to think that these two are the only two teams to occupy first in the league since January 14th. Feels like they've been in first in each conference since puck drop. That's how good both these teams have been. It's their second matchup of the season. The first one ended 5-4 with a big win for Winnipeg. And yes, before you ask the question, Ovechkin did score in that game, and he's got some fantastic history against the Jets as well. He actually scored his 600th NHL goal against Connor Hellebuyck and the Jets 7 years ago. And more to that, he has 56 goals all time against Winnipeg, which is the most that he scored against any other team. And yes, the Atlanta Thrashers are included in that. I can't change the record books, ladies and gentlemen. Winnipeg should have their own records, but he's ripped up the Atlanta Thrashers, who are also the Winnipeg Jets, according to the NHL. So he loves scoring against his team. At the moment, Ovechkin's on 888 goals. He's on pace to break the record on April 12th in Columbus. He might do it sooner. He might do it later. I personally hope he does it a little later, like the last game of the season when Washington is in Pittsburgh. Imagine that. How about this storyline? Ovechkin breaks Wayne Gretzky's goal record with Crosby on the ice, and Wayne Gretzky in the stands, and they stop the game for a ceremony. You can't write that. This league has been fantastic, and it could end on an absolute high note with Ovechkin breaking the record in Pittsburgh. So not only do we have that massive game between two teams who are on a collision course for the President's Trophy, the wildcard races in both conferences are incredible. They're hotter than ever. And the hottest team in the NHL right now? The St. Louis Blues, the best team since the Four Nations. They're 13-2-2 in their last 7 games. I thought they were supposed to be sellers at the deadline. I thought Braden Shen was going somewhere. What's going on? This team not only might make the playoffs as a wildcard team, there's a chance they leapfrog Minnesota for 3rd place in the Central. At the moment, they're only 4 points behind the Wild and 4 points up on the Flames. Now, the Flames have a few games in hand against St. Louis, and it's a big week for them. They've been playing really well, but they need a couple of wins over the next 3 teams that they're playing this week. Seattle, Dallas, and Edmonton. A massive battle of Alberta where the Oilers might not have McDavid or Draisaitl, so it's a good opportunity for the Flames to capitalize, to try and gain some ground on St. Louis or Minnesota and distance themselves from the Vancouver Canucks, who are coming off a heartbreaking loss to the New York Rangers in Madison Square Garden, where they outshot the Rangers 39-12 and still lost the game 5-3. Canucks fans, I feel for you. They got to start winning some games. And they got some good news, though. Thatcher Demko is back on the ice, and he's likely to start one of the games that the Canucks play this week. And they're going to need him because they got a tough road trip coming up. They're going to Jersey, they're going to Long Island, Columbus, and they wrap up in Winnipeg. So that loss to the New York Rangers needs to be put in the rear view. The performance was good. The result wasn't great. Speaking of the Rangers, they're in the East wildcard race that feels like 10 teams are chasing down 2 spots right now. As it stands, the Sens and the Habs, 2 Canadian teams, how about that, occupy both spots. But there's a big week coming up for one of the teams chasing the second wildcard spot, and that's the Columbus Blue Jackets. They have 3 games this week, 2 of which are against 2 teams in the same race as them. That's the Islanders and that's the Ottowa Senators. And for the Sens, listen, they can really separate themselves this week. I believe that they're in. But I think after this week, they can really lock it up based on their schedule. If they can pick up 2 wins against Detroit and the Blue Jackets, I think they're all but in. They have to be. And they'd be a scary team to play in the first round of the playoffs. As for the Habs, they're on the road for 4 tough ones, and the road hasn't been kind to the Montreal Canadiens. They're 1-1-3 in their last 5 road games, and the schedule's tough. It's St. Louis, who I mentioned are the hottest team in the NHL, then Philly, Carolina, and they wrap up in Florida. They just picked up a big win against the Panthers, so they'll be feeling pretty confident, but still, it's a tough matchup, and those Panthers have a lot to play for too, because they're trying to lock up the number 1 spot in the Atlantic, and they haven't locked it up yet. It's a short week for them. They only got 2 games, and the teams behind them, the Leafs and the Lightning, both play twice before Florida hits the ice, so they both can gain some ground. As for the Leafs, they had a great opportunity to take over top spot in the Atlantic last week until they blew a 2-0 lead to the Predators, and that didn't happen. They go out west this week, and one of the teams that they do face is the hottest home team in the NHL, the best home team in the NHL, who can't stop winning either. It's the Los Angeles Kings. They're right on the heels of the Vegas Golden Knights for top spot in the Pacific. They can't stop winning games. They're on a 14-game point streak, which is a franchise record. The Kings are for real. They have home ice right now. They're in second over the Oilers. If they play the Oilers, home ice is absolutely crucial. And there's a great game this week. They take on the Avs on Thursday night. That's one of the must-watch games of the week. Kings, Avs, Thursday night. As for the Oilers, when will McDavid come back? When will Draisaitl come back? These are the big questions. But Stan Bowman, the GM of the Oilers, was on After Hours on Hockey Night in Canada this past weekend and said he doesn't expect it to be long. He's not worried about their injuries. He also mentioned that this is not necessarily a bad time for both those players to rest. So doesn't seem too serious, but when will they be back? Because they need those two players, not only for the playoffs, but for the stretch run here. Home ice will be important to them, and maybe they can win the Pacific once those guys get back into the mix. So what a week we have in the NHL. And it's going to be this way until the end of the season because you got wild card races, divisional races, President's Trophy races, Ovechkin chasing down Gretzky to break his goal record, and Gretzky's going to be in attendance soon. That's only going to ramp things up. You got the Hart Trophy battle between McKinnon, Draisaitl, and maybe Connor Hellebuyck. The Calder, Macklin, Celebrini, Lane Hudson, Dustin Wolf. I mean, if the Flames get in, Dustin Wolf's got a shout. You know, Lane Hudson might end the year with 60 points. Macklin Celebrini might break the franchise record for rookie in points for San Jose. There's so much going on, folks. This is fantastic. So let me know in the comment below what you're excited for and what you're watching this week.